Me and Axel used to talk about, someday I was going to put out a book on the band. I thought they'd be huge. So he kept pushing me into it, and finally I said, okay, hopefully it's going to do well. I hope that people, look at the book and feel that it's a real photo history, because, I started working with the band in 1985, and, from my very first photo shoot up until 1992, that's what's in the book.
Forgotten about the history of this band going back that far until the book came out. I was like, oh, God.
How far we're going back?
We're going
way back. And it go a little something like this.
How did you guys meet, and what made you decide to work together?
Where did we meet?
Izzy, Troubadour.
It was a period when I think Axel and I were writing songs, but we didn't have a band together. We just had songs. But yeah, it was right around that time. Remember he had a Cadillac, and used to buy me drinks. It was cool. I remember just hanging out with him at the Troubadour, really. That's where I remember first meeting him. And I think I remember him saying, yeah, I'm a photographer, man, you should let me do some pictures.
I treated him the same way I treat most outsiders in general, and I couldn't stand him. I gave him such a fucking hard time at photo shoots. But that's how a good solid relationship starts. It starts on either end of the spectrum. If you can get through that, then finally you end up in the middle and everything's cool and you can deal with anything. And so if you were to ask Robert, he'd tell you he hated me too.
We all have our different relationships with Robert, His and I's is more a very casual, relaxed, let's go fishing type of vibe. When I met him, which was back in the Gardner days, he was a friend of Izzy's, and we needed somebody to take free photos because we had no money. And here came Robert after work in his construction gear, mud all the way up to his chest, But he had a camera, and he had a box with stuff in it, and we're like, wow, he must be a pro. And, he sucked at first, but so did we, so it was great. And we just learned together, and we were more than glad to be guinea pigs, because we'd take those pictures and slap them on telephone poles and everything, all up and down Sunset.
Back then we had the flyer wars, where all the bands would go out and flyer every wall they could. Now it's really, LA's kind of cracked down on that, and it's a little bit harder to do that. But we had flyer wars, and meaning that, like, if you got to a wall that didn't have anything on it or the flyers were old, it was yours. But what would happen is then other bands would come up and put their flyers over your brand new flyers that you spent your hard-earned money on, and it would turn into a war a bit. Looking back on it, that was really fun. Flyer nights was a lot of fun. But then we started getting bigger, so we hired people to put up flyers for us. And we'd find that they would spend the money on beer and not put the flyers up.
I mean, all the flyers and all the ads and everything Robert shot, and he did it for free for us because we were friends and we were an up-and-coming band. And that's just the kind of cat that he is, And I remember, like, even helping him develop pictures and stuff in his darkroom, me and Sid. It was like, so, yeah, we go back a long ways, man. That's got to be 7, 8 years ago.
When the band got signed, I got a phone call in the middle of the night from Axel. He said, come down to Hamburger Hamlet. We're going to be signing a deal with Geffen Records. And so I drove down there, and, they did their deal and everything. And when they got their advances, everybody in the band gave me a little bit of money. Because when I first started out, I only had one camera and one lens.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. So that helped, like, create a certain bond of loyalty, because he was willing to go for it with his career, same way we were at the time. Now we've sold out. No.
The thing that I remember most about Robert John is when we all lived in that studio, and then we came back to the studio one night after doing a photo shoot with Robert John, and the guys our door was kicked down in the studio, and the guys next door, they were all freaked out and scared, you know, and they said, man, you guys better get out of here because the police were here, and they kicked in your door, and they said they were going to kick your asses when they catch you. And of course, Robert had the Cadillac, so we moved everything out that night and moved down Sunset Strip to another apartment, to somebody else's place. And that's what I remember the most about Robert John, because he was like photographer and getaway driver. That's it.
And what was so great about this white Cadillac?
Just that Robert had a car and it was a big white Cadillac. That's about it. We walked, hitchhiked, anything else, and he had a big white Cadillac. Just thought that was really pimp.
Some of the photos that were really candid, and I don't know, it just takes me back, like when we opened for the Red Hot Chili Peppers at UCLA, I think it was, after doing that Alice Cooper gig in Santa Barbara, where Axl showed up and couldn't get in, and we went out and played without him and drank vodka on stage, and everybody threw things at us.
And asked if anybody knew the words.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of
And we started threatening the crowd. Come on, you fuckers, get up here.
Well, you gotta understand, this is 1985. And I even looked goofier than this, but back then, black hair. I let this goofy girlfriend dress me up for this one. But this is one of the first photo shoots we ever did.
There's this photo here. Okay, see this photo? See this photo here? Very unhappy that this is in the front of the book, representing who I used to be. And this is Slash. This is like representing who he used to be. This was a very long time ago, and back when we really believed that substance abuse was a way to God.
Those shots, I remember we did it when the cops broke into the Gardner studio when we got those rape charges. We were over around the corner at Monica's house, Steven's girlfriend, that's porno chick, and we did the photos there, and we were just fucking around. I mean, Axl probably looked good being sort of glammed out, and of course Hanoi Rocks was around at the time, and I think Izzy and Axl were pretty influenced by Hanoi Rocks, whereas when I came in, I pretty much looked the same way, just the same way. That whole photo session was a joke. I'm gonna kill Robert for putting it in the book. Because some kids look at that and go, wow, that's how they used to dress. It was one day.
These shots are from 1985, 1986. All of Hollywood is experimenting with fashion. I mean,
at that time it was either heavy metal, meaning that heavy metal is the studs all the way up the arm, that and black and upside down crosses and what have you. And some of the bands were really cheesy at it, or there were all the glam bands. And I mean, this is before Poison, and David Bowie was like God, and Hanoi Rocks was the coolest band in the world, and the New York Dolls ruled. It was either that or total heavy metal in the club scenes for the most part. So we did our thing for a while and got into it, and then moved into other things. It was just having some fun. It was quite an exhilarating experience.
There's some funny shit in this book that people won't, that buy it obviously won't know exactly the story behind it. And this picture right here of Axe was at Texas Stadium, Cowboy Place, Dallas Stadium, whatever. And it was the very end of our first 2-year tour. It was the last show. And it was the worst show we ever played. And INXS was headlining, and we were playing before them. We were supposed to play for about an hour and a half. And we played for about 45 minutes. The sound was terrible, the crowd. The show itself, the lineup, was Iggy Pop, Ziggy Marley, The Replacements, us, and INXS. I mean, it was really screwed up, so the crowd was really confused in general. And we were terrible. And then a few months later, I got a cassette in the mail, Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, broke it in half. And it was some former fan who said after seeing us at Texas Stadium that he would never listen to us again.
Matt, do you find it uncomfortable doing photo sessions?
Not when it's just the two of us. Sometimes, you know, it's different when the other guys are around and stuff, because you know you kind of always got to be sort of like, you don't want to pose or anything, but you know it's going to be that one shot that you kind of look stupid and the rest of the guys look cool, and you're going to be like the stupid looking guy in the photo because the rest of them say that's the one. So you don't want to pose, but yeah, in a way you have to a little bit.
Stay out.
Hey, look at this guy.
Got one shot.
Yeah.
Who are you lot then?
Okay. That's
Country?
No way. I don't believe that.
Okay.
Is that true?
yeah.
Nice to meet you, man.
That's Matt. Hi.
Shit.
How are you?
Bloody hell. What are you doing here?
We're staying
In
at
the
the
slum of
hotel.
Fulham. Oh, you stopped there. Oh,
Yeah.
am I being recorded here? Right. That's cool. Wait, no, that's not.
Did you get that I don't believe it on film? I get that a lot.
What's it like going from some sort of obscurity to such a huge band and then seeing the photos?
Well, it's nice that people actually wanted photos of me. I like that part. It's like it used to be, you know, begging people. It's like, please, please put a picture of my band in, and they wouldn't do it. But now it's nice that they ask, you know. And it's cool working with those guys because I can fuck with them, you know, when we're on stage and stuff, you know, spit at them, shit like that.
Do you spit at Robert?
I spit at him all the time. I never hit him. I'm not that good, but go.
I write, in essence, from a fan's point of view. When I helped Robert edit some of this stuff, that was the fan in me coming out. Where's my car? Guns N' Roses are historic right now. They're probably the biggest rock and roll band in the world going. And I'm still a fan. I'm not that jaded. When they go on stage, I still get turned on, you know? Okay.
Come on, dude.
Not you.
Well, Guns N' Roses, I think, were going to be the most awkward band to photograph, full stop. I mean, I did Milton Keynes, I've been in Rock in Rio. Most big bands, Madonna, Michael Jackson, you get 3 numbers, and you're normally in the pit. Guns N' Roses have this, we're going to put you at the back of the stadium.
It's
Can you tell us why that sort of scheme is ever put into operation, that limited amount of time for other photographers? What is it supposed to create?
Because we don't like any of them. All the other photographers were just, you know, they're just money hungry, or they're trying to fill their quota or whatever, and it just makes you feel uncomfortable. And so, you know, after 15 minutes, you're just like, fuck off, you know. And they sell their pictures to all kinds of different publications, and we've been misrepresented in the press and by the media so many times. So at this point, we don't care whether you seem to be a nice guy or not. We just don't trust anybody.
So we give them one song, the first song, and they shoot from the mixing desk, which, although they all complain about that, at the end of the day, they get better shots. And what it is, when I first started working with Guns N' Roses, they had no other photographers apart from Robert. And I said the problem is that people are using old shots of the band because they're not getting access to the pictures. So they were using live shots with band members that weren't even around anymore. So we decided just for the daily newspapers that Robert can't service, we'd use the mixing desk as a good place for them to shoot from. And they get one song.
You know, one number, you're not going to get the atmosphere. You know, I mean, really bad pictures actually come out of this, because there's no way, if you're given access to a band like that for one number, you're so scared that your competition's going to get a better picture that you're actually doing the band an injustice, because the pictures are going to be grainy. You're shot from, you know, the back of the stage. But it's not the sort of band, the crowd aren't user-friendly when you've got a photographer standing in the pit, or not in the pit, but sort of in the crowd, sort of hustling away trying to do pictures. And a couple of my friends got bopped on the end of the night, so I do my one number and I leave.
Yeah, in ways, Robert has been another member of the band, because he's been there since the beginning, and someone who is coming from the same headspace and attitude in ways about their craft and about the band that we were. And so I've really liked supporting the loyalty in myself to Robert, and it's something that's had to be fought for at different times. You know, like when we were getting signed, there were pretty much like 4 photographers who had a monopoly over rock photos in the rock magazines, and I was like, well, I'm not signing unless you're going to guarantee me Robert comes with us. Because I wasn't going to sign a deal and then have to go to Robert and go, well, now that we're signed, we got to shoot with these guys and we can't shoot with you anymore. And I could feel that starting to happen. I mean, now, I think that there's a lot of different photographers in the rock and roll magazines of different bands, but that wasn't the case when we were signed.
Robert, how often do you come up to the mountains to do pictures?
Any kind of chance, you know, that I get. Well, rock and roll to me is just like a business, so, you know, it's like I love shooting shows, you know, and doing group shots and things like that, but it also becomes a business because you have to deal with, you know, subjects, you know, people moving, people's attitudes, things like that. With nature, you don't have anything to argue with you. You know, you can photograph an animal and the main thing you're dependent on is that it's going to be sitting there, you know, but it doesn't have an ego, and, you know, so there's a big difference. Rocks don't move. I mean, we've been touring for two and a half years, so I'm not home very much, you know, to be able to go up in the mountains. Yeah, I hate touring, to be honest with you. It's been a long time since I've shot Izzy.
Robert John, international photographer.
Izzy always had the most bizarre ideas for photos. We're at like 5 o'clock in the morning when the sun's rising. It was 20 degrees out in Atlanta, Georgia, and he wanted to go shoot up on a roof. And I told him, I said, you know, Izzy, skin kind of does weird things in the cold. You know, you look cold. And he's like, fine, you know, and he loved the shot.
Well, in those days, I mean, if we got anything done, it was usually the second or third day being up. You know, hey man, let's go on the roof. Yeah, maybe we can breathe up there, you know, that kind of shit. And it was usually pretty painless, you know. Usually the sun was coming up as opposed to going down. And we were feeling, you know.
I couldn't pinpoint, you know, which photo I liked the most that Robert shot. He has a great sense of timing, and so, say he gives me a slide sheet from a few dates out of the tour to approve. I usually just approve all of it, or if there's something I definitely don't like, you know, it's like 1 out of 10 that, you know, I'm adamant about. But otherwise, he's got a great sense of timing, and since he's been with us so long, he's one of the only guys that knows how to catch us at that right moment. You know? And now, you know, I grew up fucking reading rock and roll magazines, and, you know, I knew what cool looked like as far as I was concerned. And so obviously growing up, you're influenced by that, you know, and when you see pictures of yourself, you'd like to be able to, you know, if you're lucky, compare them to the cool shit that you grew up with. And so he's great for capturing that cooler than now kind of image, right?
My personal likes are a little bit of motion blur, you know, to show what the person's doing. You know, seeing a guitarist standing perfectly still with the guitar in his hand is really boring. You know, I like seeing a lot of movement, like when Slash is on stage. You know, he starts jumping around on 1 foot and things like that. Those usually turn out to be really good photos.
Have you had a chance to look at the book?
Yeah, I had a chance to look at the book.
Did you like a particular photograph shot on the MGM?
The one with me. Oh yeah, yeah, of course I like the one that with Duff sitting on my lap because it's a family, so it was a lot of fun and it captured really that moment. But my favorite photo in the book had to be the shot of Axl jumping, you know, 8 feet in the air, because I remember having to take him to the doctor after that.
What's it like shooting or working with Axl Rose?
Axl, shooting with him is he's very creative. He comes up with a lot of ideas.
Is he very difficult to work with?
What do you mean?
Well, there's a certain perception that the world has of Axl Rose, and you know him as well as anyone. What's he like to work with?
On a photo session?
Yeah.
No, not at all. He trusts, you know, he trusts what I do. You know, he trusts my lighting and everything. I mean, it's like, we shoot Polaroids anyway. so he's able to see everything before we shoot. You know, we'll go over, you know, things.
For me, it's just having an idea of something that we could shoot, and I don't really have a great understanding of photography or anything, and Robert has been always real eager to, like, you know, take on a challenge. So I'm always really good at, like, giving him a challenge that he's never done before.
Capturing Matt live is tough.
That's for sure.
Because I make some of the ugliest faces.
Shooting drummers is a lot harder.
Yeah, I think
because they're all over the place with their heads and their facial expressions, their arms. I mean, you get a lot of you get a lot of shots with sticks in their face. You know, I try to avoid like shots of Matt because, you know, when he's like in like a solo, for instance, you know, he's like kicking ass through the whole thing, right? So he's blowing out too, you know. And
yeah, that kind of thing, like a Dizzy Gillespie. Pretty nice.
He's got a knack, you know, for the shit, man.
Why do you think that's so?
I think, again, it's just because we come from the same place, man. We come from the, you know, we're street scum, man. Yeah.
Dizzy's very picky about photos, very picky. He's got such a laid-back personality. He's really easy to work with. You know, it's just when it comes to approval time.
They always give me a hard time. Robert gives me a hard time. He says I'm too picky.
Do you think you are?
No. I just think I'm, like, too fat sometimes, you know?
Duff is probably the person who gives me the most control. You know, he lets me set up things, you know, in position and all that. So yeah, he's very easy.
We're like, you know, best of friends, you know, so to work with Robert, that's just kind of you just kind of tell, we can tell Robert what to do. Robert, God damn it, load up that film, God damn it. But we're kind of, we joke around with him a lot, you know. But he's very, very calm, very collected. He knows exactly what he's going to do before you even get there, which leaves a lot to say for a lot of other photographers I've worked with. And he is very straight and honest and forward. If you don't like it, it's in the trash can, and it's that simple.
Not only does he know us well enough to get the right shot, but we like to have him around because he's a buddy. It's not like when a photographer comes into the room, you feel uncomfortable because you don't trust him, you know, or they're in it for a means to their own end.
By stopping photographers shooting from the pit and by not giving them 3 songs, which is really the norm for most other bands, in some ways we encourage them to try and buck the system. So what they do is they try to escape from me as we're going back and forth to the mixer. So you have to kind of battle your way every night with huge big security guys, people with cameras who complain all the way over there because it's too far for them to go and they've got too much heavy equipment. And I mean, as far as I know, not too many have escaped on the way back and forth, but what they do is they get all their colleagues to come, sneak cameras in with them, and they just shoot from the audience. You know, they bring orange boxes with them and stand on those. They bribe people to bring cameras in. I mean, there's a lot of agency shots out in the market, but there's very little. You know, I mean, we do what we can. If we see people with cameras who look professional, we remove the film from them.
There's a lot of photographers. I mean, man, you know, I did this photo session with Linda, my wife, for this magazine with this guy, this big European fashion modeling. He got all the costumes and stuff from the movie Dangerous Liaisons, you know, and did this. And we get there. Linda had to get there at 7 to get full like body makeup and blah blah blah. And I didn't get there till 3, you know, and it's like 100 miles away from my house. Because I know, you know, photographers, I didn't get there till 3, put on my stuff. They hadn't even started shooting her. The thing was, the place wasn't even set up. This guy was a complete dick, and he lied to me like 3 times. Finally, I just said, see ya. You know, but the point is I took up like 15 hours and nothing happened. With Robert, it's set up. You walk in, it's boom. Or else in the middle of the night, 4 in the morning, call him in his hotel room. Robert, the sun's just coming up, hitting this certain building here in Pakistan or wherever it might be, and now it's the time, it's perfect. Boom, he'll be there. Robert's the guy that we trust for the candid stuff, you know, even if you and your woman want some pictures at home in bed, you know, you can trust Robert, you know, not to be just staring at your woman's titties or something like that. Yeah, that's my job.
Actually, for the last couple of years, I've been kind of not wanting to do private shots of myself or whatever, or shots of my privates. And I've been learning a lot about photography from other friends, meeting other photographers, and things in the fashion industry, and working with the videos as much. And so I've kind of wanted to wait till I develop like some new ideas of what I want to do with photography so that we can move forward. It's like I haven't really written songs for a new album until I started like this weekend, because I've been trying to get my head in a certain space that I was actually growing rather than staying in the same place. And now that like this tour is winding down, the Use Your Illusion songs have all in one form or another come back to life emotionally for me on the albums. And so re-experiencing them in new situations and then trying to figure out how to grow and go farther rather than stay in that same place, I've been kind of doing with every aspect of my life. And it's very strange for me because on a tour I feel like I'm kind of trapped in a time warp that I created. Tours, you know, what I wear on stage is pretty much what I wear every day. That will change when the tour is over, because then I can have the time to wear clothes again. And you know, next will be like the Chili Peppers and wear socks. Slash thinks that the greatest freedom will be to play naked. I personally don't have a great desire to be on the same stage, but
I mean, everybody must see that he's good looking. I mean, he's gorgeous. He looks like a caveman, come on. Come on! A caveman, maybe that's sexy, you know? No, just because he plays guitar and he makes a lot of money. I mean, no, he's gorgeous.
Just living under the
probably a better kind of a book for me to look at just because I was there, you know, or, you know, that kind of thing where, I mean, that shit really did happen, as they say. As opposed to like photo shoots where you all get together and, you know, any one number of photographers gets you all. This is no real experience. This was even more than a day in the life. When I look back on it, I go, fuck, remember how, you know, nuts that day was, or how stoned we were that day, and when we were rehearsing and trying to get our shit together, and so on and so forth. And the thing is it hasn't changed much, and when it finally comes down to the wire, and you start to feel like it's all just too fucking difficult, or things have changed, or anything like that, when you just start to get moody, I can look at that and go, it's always been fucking hard.
What are some of your favorite memories or moments of your involvement with Guns N' Roses?
Watching them go from, you know, a little tiny band in Los Angeles where like 50 people came to their shows, to seeing them with like 140,000, you know, in Rock in Rio.
Are you proud of what you've done?
Yeah. As far as my book goes, yeah. I'm very proud of it. Because it's weird. You know, people look at the book and they see the history of the band. I look at the book and I see my progression in photography. You know? I mean, I'm still not technically the best, but, you know, I see a progression in my own work.
When you see the book, I mean, does it rekindle the good, the bad, or maybe even the ugly?
Let me see. Yeah, it captures actually a lot of the good. The bad, it just conjures up attorney's fees. And the ugly would be the last shot in the book, actually the picture of the photographer himself, Robert.
A lot of the pictures he put in this book were for us, you know, like Duff on stage in his hometown, Seattle, October 1992. Now he knows how much I love going home and to play. And, you know, he could have done any other picture, or, you know, we played about 5 million cities, you know, but he chose to do that, which is very cool. I like that photo a lot. I remember the gig. It was a lean and tuck. It's a difficult bass move. Don't try it at home, kids.
Robert's definitely earned his wings, I guess.
I got a show to do now, so thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, Robert John. Where's my enema bag?
What's it like holding your own book?
Feels good. I guess it's probably like a band when they first record a record. You get the first record, you know. I remember Axl used to say, before Appetite was recorded, he used to say, you know, all I want to do is record this record and just be able to hold it, you know, have my record. You know, and that's kind of the way I felt about my book.
He's got some really funny shit, stuff that we keep in a vault because it's too, yeah, we just don't let that stuff out.